to part 3. This is not how I really wanted everything to start going, but I did actually make it home. I didn't even record after the incident of getting stuck on the interstate just because I was so scared of what was happening. Luckily, I wasn't that far from home, but it was still a problem of like, the gearbox would not go into park. It stayed in the drive position, and then when it stayed in the drive position and I gave it a little bit of throttle, the car legitimately would not move. So I was like, okay, we're not gonna move. So I turned off the car, and then I turned it back on, and it seems like it reset itself. It's definitely seeming like a sensor problem. However, when I got home, I was telling my dad, and I'm like, Dad, this happened, blah, 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 blah. And I was on the phone with him, even on the interstate. And we both think, well, sorry, more so myself, thinks that it's nothing to do mechanical, because obviously if it was mechanical, it would have been permanently on, and I would have never been able to move the car whatsoever. Every single time something happens, it starts off with the shift knob malfunction, meaning that bad boy right there. So I have a feeling when that thing goes, everything else goes, because that's the first thing that pops up. So what happens is the heads-up display that's in the middle there shuts off, turns back on, and that's when it says the shift knob malfunction. So in this video, we probably will figure it out. Maybe. Either that's gonna be probably another part. But in this video here, I do want to promise you guys, since last video was supposed to be downpipes and oil pan gasket replacement, that's what we're doing here. I have the car. I got a jack that's borrowed, so that's awesome. We can finally do this properly now and get this up raised in the middle where the access point is, put it on all 4 jack stands, raise the car up enough to where I can get under there, so then do this guy, which this one's a little scary because I believe I still have to take apart most of that passenger side wheel just to access this thing, so strut and everything. But then that guy, it's also a tad bit scary because this one here, I'm not exactly sure how to put the downpipes in, but it seems decently easy. So once those guys go in, I think we'll be set. After taking off this cover, I realized this was about to be one of the biggest and hardest challenges I've ever done in terms of either maintenance as well as upgrades on this BMW N54 E60. BMWs in general, for either maintenance or upgrades, are normally very challenging and very tricky to work on. However, for some reason, the 535xi specifically, for any BMW with the xDrive component to it, is extremely hard to work on. Okay, so what I've done in prevention of breaking or stripping a screw that's connected from the exhaust and cats is I sprayed a bunch of this stuff. So it's just white lithium grease. So hopefully after about a day, it will eat through the rust that is there. Now it's not like WD-40 type stuff, but it's like 10 times better. So the white lithium grease does work really well, just not for the application that I am using it for. It works best when there's friction between 2 objects and the grease, but when it's just sitting there on the bolts like I put it, it's not going to do much of anything. And just as an FYI, if you do have an older car and you can see that there is clear rust on the bolts, almost as if they're fused together, just go ahead, get an impact drill, get the socket. It'll be so much easier, and you'll have a lot more prevention in stripping a screw. The bolts from the downpipes to the rest of the exhaust, got them all off, perfectly fine, awesome. Only problem is now is the fact that in order to get to the downpipes on an E60 N54 535xi, it's so hard. I will show you. There's a plate that's there, and I'm not really sure what the purpose of it's for. I don't know if it's for heat shielding or what, because it doesn't look like it is heat shielding, it's just a sheet metal. In order to get that off, I have to get the subframe off. Well, if I'm gonna get the subframe off, I might as well just do the oil pan at that very moment. So listen, if you have a 335xi N54, just understand this. It's probably 10 times easier to work on those than it is on a 535xi. That's all I'm gonna say. But anyways, as you see through this video, I will indeed show you clips of me finding out literally everything, me actually being able to get the bolts unscrewed from the downpipes and everything like that. But that's why I'm saying this episode will probably be a little jumpy. But something I will say is that when you're dropping a subframe, you need this tool. 100%, there's no questions asked, and it's not that expensive. You can actually get this at Harbor Freight. It's like $80-something after taxes. You need an engine support bar. the oil gasket on an X drive, you have to remove the differentials, CV axle joints, obviously subframe. But it's a lot more complicated than just finding the screws and dropping everything. So what we're gonna do is downpipes instead. So the downpipes, I don't really think are gonna be all that bad to really get, because you can actually see one of the V-band clamps there. It's gonna be super tight to get to. I'm not sure how you're gonna be able to get to it on top. Taking them out is probably gonna be a lot easier than putting them back in. Now the O2 sensors, obviously, I think I showed you guys this already, but there is one that's right there. Here, we've taken off the exhaust, and I will say it's better to take off this, that way you have the most and maximum amount of room. You will deal with a lot of rust. Obviously, you can see all the rust that's here. But let me get under the car real quick because I want to show you the downpipes now. And also, these are the gaskets from the downpipes to the exhaust. They were quite disgusting. I mean, they were just like fraying away, and you can see that every time I pick it up, it's just like, it's not good. They're also very wet, which I'm assuming is not a good thing. But here we have the downpipes. And there's two screws that actually hold these on, and besides the V-band, which are the bracketry for this, that one right there I already took off, but then there's another one behind it, and that's it. There's just two. But if you take off the exhaust, and this is the reason why I'm saying take off the exhaust, is because you have perfect access to the O2 sensors. I mean, I'm a skinny guy, but like even a larger individual could easily reach these guys. Like I'm even touching it just now, and this is the front one. And then the back one you can easily reach as well. I will say you don't have to drop the subframe, and you don't have to take out the CV axle joints or anything. It does not appear that way whatsoever. It will be a very tight fit, but I mean, this is literally as simple as can be so far. The V-band clamps we haven't gotten to yet, but I will share those when we get to it. But so far, it doesn't seem all that bad. And honestly, taking off the exhaust isn't even bad. It's just unscrewing a bunch of bolts and that's it. Now, it's important to note that in order to get the OEM downpipes off the turbos, you have to release the closest passenger side V-clamp first and release the downpipe in order to get to the downpipe that is higher up or closer to the driver's side. And you may see this be solved in a couple seconds from the video, but I can tell you this, it took me at least 5 or 6 hours to figure this out. And now this may seem a little confusing, but once both V-clamps are off, you have to get the higher downpipe out first, then you can work on getting the passenger side downpipe out. Oh my god, it's such a small little turbo! Oh my god, look at it! Let me shine this light. Little turbo! It's so beautiful! Matter of fact, I'm fairly certain, so if that's the inlet, then I'm fairly certain that this is the outlet here. Which means that if I want to do anything with this, gain horsepower, this is going to be a nightmare and have to take off, because I think I have to take off the turbo for that one. I'm actually not even sure how you put on outlets. This part sucks because obviously you can't get, well, you can get new O2 sensors, but they're going to cost you an arm and leg probably from BMW or FCP Euro. But no hate against that because they are O2 sensors and they're pretty important. But it's actually getting them off from stuck. Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, I couldn't get him. So off camera, my dad and I we got him. Somehow. And then I ran into a new problem. The new gasket that came with the downpipe kit wasn't fitting correctly on the turbo seal.
Let me see the new one, because
I feel like I could just use the old one.
Possibly, but let me see the new one, because it almost feels like there's a wrapping.
I don't really think it should make too much of a difference.
I don't know why there's all this metal.
Oh, is that not normal? Yeah, so I think it definitely is the fact of all the As you can see, dry fitting the new downpipes was not super easy for me. It seemed as if they weren't going to fit at all, but I wasn't going to take no for an answer. I was simply struggling so hard just trying to keep the V-band clamp and gasket to fit properly. So I got the new downpipe to turbo gaskets on, and they have to fit in this little groove here, so you might have to pinch them a little bit, but they do fit. I have been on this pretty much the entire day, and I'm starting to think that this was not worth it. Like, you guys see that they're in. They're not actually in. I'm having trouble trying to get them attached to the V-band clamp and the turbo, and it's just almost like not happening. It's not a matter that they don't fit, it's just a matter of to get it to the attached to the V-band clamp. It's just so hard. It sucks. But all right, we're gonna finish this. All right, I'm gonna get this with the light as best as possible. I finally got them attached to the turbos, but now we gotta get the V-band clamps on there, and I'm not sure how we're gonna do that because, yeah. But they fit, I mean, that's the good part. And after a lot more struggle and many hours later, I did it. Got both V-band clamps on and tightened, as well as the O2 sensors all nice and tightened. So I put the rest of it back. Now that the exhaust and downpipes were fully attached, it was time to get the first cold start with the new VRSF downpipes. I think I was expecting more after all that, but you can feel the difference. But now that there's catalyst downpipes, I feel like it is throwing an engine code of saying like CO2 emissions type thing, which is perfectly understandable. But everything's on. So this just goes to show that you can install VRSF downpipes without removing subframes and the axles and the CV joints and the control arm. And a whole lot of everything. Finally happening again, but an official cold start. It definitely sounds a little bit louder, but it's not like ridiculously more loud, if that makes any sense. Oh no, I can definitely hear it's like more. Anyways, we're gonna go for a first drive and then get a couple revs in and see how it performs. Let me close this before the audio is becoming really bad. My overall goal with this was not actually to gain horsepower, because with the downpipes, I believe you gain like only 20 to 30 more horsepower, 60 at max if I want to be correct, I think. My idea was actually to get this to sound 10 times better. So I think we're almost nailing it. We just got to get a custom exhaust, which is going to be the quad exhaust, but I got to get a rear bumper for that to be an M5 style. Whoa, there's a massive difference. Not in really horsepower, but definitely the sound. I mean, wow. We're gonna get a little bit of gas in sport mode. Okay, it doesn't really give any more pops. It's just a lot more deep throaty. Not a whole lot of cracks at all. It just really sounds good.